Afternoon, everyone. Good morning. We don't know what time zone you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, my name is Len, and I'll also introduce myself again a little later. But here are our presenters for the many sessions that we're having today. I wanted to say a welcome to everyone who will join us, and also go over some logistics. We'll be using the Meet Q&A feature for asking questions. So if you want to ask questions, you'll see on the right-hand side at the bottom, there'll be there's a triangle, a square, and a circle thing. If you click on that and then click on QA, you'll be able to submit questions for us. Some general overview of the session and the content we're going through. So we'll be going over some information. If you have more detailed questions, or if you have questions about some of the things that are perhaps not that we would disclose, you can contact us or your account team to have kind of like an NDA level conversation, which will get you more detail and more and actually a longer view of some of the roadmap information that will be presented. And I guess for some overall questions, we have the timing for when the sessions are going to start throughout the day on the website. So if you can basically come in, join in, or leave whenever the particular sessions that you're interested are happening. And I guess also some overall logistics. We're going to introduce all the different hosts at the beginning of their sessions. My name's Len. I'm a part of the SOE. We have Ani Jain, who's an outbound product manager for Looker. Dhruva Reddy, who is a specialist, AIML specialist, a customer engineer. Navjot Singh, who is an analytics customer engineer. And Sean Patterson, who's a database and data management customer engineer. And Sri Nanapanini, who's a customer engineer in networking and security as well. And we're all a part of the startup organization inside of Google Cloud. And yeah, I mean, let's get started. I'll go ahead with the sessions. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to be with you today. My name is Leonard Henry, and I've been a customer engineer at Google, part of a team called SOE, which is basically a specialist customer engineering team. For the past 4 years, I've been with Google Cloud as a customer engineer, helping customers like yourself. And then before joining Google, I was a solutions architect for Amazon for 5 years. So that's nearly a decade of hands-on experience working with some of the most innovative cloud technology that's out there. My passion in particular actually is involved around DevOps. We actually have a subsection of my presentation here today where I'll be talking about DevOps. So here's the topics I'm going to be covering in today's session. I'm going to first talk about virtual machine families, persistent disk, high performance computing, security and compliance, operations and automation, and application ecosystems. So let's get started with virtual machine families. So here's a top-level overview of the different types of use cases and the computing hardware that we recommend for the different types of use cases. So you can see here some of the latest hardware for like the N4 and the C4, and then here's some of the other hardware that's available for some of the different use cases. The C4 is our first machine with networking and storage offloaded off the processors. So this is the first machine with network and storage offloaded up to 200 Gbps, 1 million IOPS, and 10 Gbps. So, incredible performance by offloading the storage and networking. Some of the latest instance types we also have available are the C4 and the N4. The strength of the titanium technology has basically allowed us to create a whole bunch of new computing platforms that can take advantage of this, and the C4 and the N4 are two examples of this. They're both engineered to provide superior speed and efficiency. The C4 in particular is our computing focused chipset, large shapes and enhanced features that scale up to 192 vCPUs and up to 1488 gigabytes of DDR5 memory. The N4 is more about a cost performance. It can get 18% better price performance over N2, and it comes in a bunch of different shapes as well, up to 80 vCPUs and 640 gigabytes of them. Z3 is our first generation of storage optimized virtual machines running Intel Sapphire Rapids, and it's basically about highly storage dense, low core, and high memory performance. It's available in two sizes right now, the 176 and the 88, and both of those come with 36 terabytes of local SSD. X4 is our bare metal memory optimized instance type. Uh, the bare metal instance type are basically avoid virtualization overhead and basically provide all the hardware resources of the workload to the users. They're built to provide the highest performance, and they're integrated with all our other cloud services like monitoring, security, hyperdisk, and they're managed using the GCP console or G Cloud API. The big picture about the virtualization, and we now have quite a few actually now of bare metal instance types. There's no virtualization in the middle. They're designed for workloads that are not virtualization ready. All of the server resources are available. Your workload is the only one on the host, and you have direct access to all the hardware and CPU features. So right now we have the X4O and the C3 bare metal types that are available. Axiom is Google's first general purpose compute processor. It supports local SSD and hyperdisk support. It will have up to 100 Gbps networking, 50% better performance, and up to 60% better efficiency when compared to x86 processors. And that is something that is coming. So what to expect for the virtual machine families? There are going to be some new GPU types. There's going to be expanded confidential computing support, and there's going to be more CPU types coming. So let's talk about persistent disk. So hyperdisk balance offers twice the performance of the equivalent persistent disk volume, and the big picture is that performance is decoupled from instance type and size. Hyperdisk balance will offer up to 100,000 IOPS. And it's basically designed for storage-intensive workloads where previously you had to upsize the VM or upsize the size just to be able to get the performance that you're looking for. So the things that you can achieve from a single volume, so there's no need for RAID or managing workload performance across multiple volumes. And you can see how high the IOPS and the lower cost and higher performance you can achieve. Storage pools are the simplest and most cost-effective way to buy and manage the block storage in the cloud. You basically purchase a pool of capacity and performance, and you share them across hyperdisk. The goal is to lower your TCO through higher efficiency and manage all your disks in one place. Previously, hyperdisk was only support for multiple readers, but now we have support for not just multi-reader, but now multiple writers. It basically allows you to combine 3 block storage capabilities into a single product. And those capabilities are provision performance, which basically you can tune your performance that you want rather than around the hardware that you're using. It supports multi-writer attach, enables workload clustering and rapid high availability failover, and sync replication. You can use 1 or 2 points of presence based on your resilience needs, and enables you to have data resiliency where RPO is equal to 0. So Hyperdisk ML is a fully fledged member of our Hyperdisk portfolio, joining throughput, balance, and extreme. It offers up to 1.2 terabytes per second of aggregate throughput, up to 2,500 instances, allowing you to load training data, training models, model weights to entire clusters quickly and efficiently. Like all Hyperdisk volumes, it decouples performance from capacity and is available with both GCE and GKE. With this addition, Hyperdisk portfolio now offers a full spectrum of workload optimized SKUs to basically cover all your different types of block storage needs. Let's jump into high performance computing. So here's a top level view of that reflects Google's investment in high performance computing over the years. So looking at a roadmap, you can see that a few of the investments we've made across the ecosystem. whether that's in core infrastructure components or platform capabilities along the bottom, like the latest and greatest CPUs and GPUs, or specific capabilities of our platforms like 100 Gbps VM networking or spot VM. On top of that, you can see the software and service investments we've made for HPC workloads, including partner investments to drive compatibility and leading job schedulers and storage systems, or building our own managed services and tools to simplify running HPC. We'll go over a few of these in the next few slides. So HDVMs, these are our first HPC offering for machine type. SMT is disabled with low latency, high bandwidth VM to VM networking, and 200 Gbps low latency networking. This is now currently available. Cost savings of up to 50% are some of the highlights of this new machine type. Parallel Store is our first-party parallel file system based on Intel DAOS. Basically, it's designed to accelerate HPC and AI workloads that require extreme scale or low latency I/O operations. It's scratch space or GCS integrated first-party parallel file system. It demonstrated 1.2 Gbps per second per terabyte, 1.5 million creates with open source on GCP. It's basically only limited by available hardware. A3 and A3 Mega, this launches from a few months back, but it's the highest performance NVIDIA H100 GPU powered VMs. High network performance, providing GPU to GPU bandwidth of 1.6 terabytes per second, 800 gigabits per second for A3, and it comes with bundled SSDs. Google is uniquely positioned, we feel, for the needs of AI customers. Not only do we have our own pioneering AI research and development driven by more than 3,000 researchers who've produced more than 7,000 papers, our innovation extends to highly efficient AI models and software leadership, and being at the forefront of the development of many of the technologies that are now really the forefront of the AI innovation. And we also have proven expertise taking AI to production, as demonstrated by some of the latest GPU hardware that's available. Here's some benchmarks for comparison of the new A3 types. You can see comparison of it with some of the competitors across here as well. So here's some features that we've added for HPC workloads. Bulk VM creation allows for the creation of up to 5,000 VMs. You distribute VM creation across multiple zones and regions. And really the big picture for this is to minimize the consumption of API rate limits. And this is also something that's generally available. Let's talk a little bit about security and compliance. We have a much longer session later today that gets into more networking and security. The big picture for this is the support we have for many of the different regimens. I'll highlight and talk a little bit about our sovereign solution. So custom organization policies allows you to define bespoke guardrails for your organizational resources. They can be enforced in minutes, and tag conditions apply you to get really granular level control over those policies. The EU sovereignty solution will allow you enable critical infrastructure companies and governments to get the benefits in cloud innovation services while having complete control over the laws that govern their data and workloads. Through local operating partners in France and Germany, we will be launching core GCU service and adding more over time. The cloud universes have a very similar experience to GCP, so minimal adaptation is needed for the web console, CLI, and tooling. Talk a little bit about operations and automations. Confidential VMs are generally available now on general purpose C3 VMs. All benefits of confidential VMs on Intel Trust domain extensions, and it helps meet your strict compliance and security control requirements that you may have to need to use confidential VM with the C3 chip VMs. Entity confidential VMs now support live migration. So this gives you transparent maintenance and increased availability and reliability now that you have live migration enabled. Confidential computing for C3D to instant types with live migration will be available as well. So this now gives support for confidential VMs with C3D instance types, and now live migration will be available with it as well. And previously mentioned live migration with confidential VMs, but now we've also launched confidential VMs for NTD on AMD Milan chipset. So now we spent most of our time actually talking about application ecosystem, which is near and dear to me since that's my area of specialization. Here's some of the stuff that we've launched recently for GKE. Cloud TPU v5 support is now generally available for GKE. GKE CUD availability, flexible community use discount is now available for GKE. This is basically a CUD that allows you to use not only GKE Autopilot and as well as GKE Standard, but also support for Cloud Run and Cloud Run functions as well. GKE supports A3 Mega. That's something that's also been launched as well. Manage NVIDIA Data Center GPU Manager. Previously, you would have to do basically a certain amount of rolling your own to enable DGCM on top of GKE, but now this is something that's actually managed and it's enabled inside of the console, so you can turn it on basically instead of having to do any sort of custom image building. Another feature that was now generally available is preloading container images on the secondary boot disk. This is particularly for customers using AI/ML who have a large training data or feature data, for example, and it dramatically reduces startup times by using this secondary disk. Another thing we've just launched as well, or that's launched, is backup for GKE, basically allowing you to pick the RPO that you want to define, and then you can define a backup for it based on your RPO. GKE now also supports C4 and storage pools, and we've also added a cube-ray operator for GKE. It makes it easy for you to set up cube-ray on GKE. So some of the things to look for in the future with GKE, there's going to be more GenAI capabilities, no surprise there. There's going to be some performance improvements to help with support high-performance storage and compute requirements. There's going to be support for larger clusters and higher throughput, and then there's going to be updated UI and more support for AI and ML workloads. So let's jump in and talk about some of the stuff that's going to be coming out or that's out now for Cloud Run. One of the first things is that, and I know there's probably a lot of interest in this, GPU support for Cloud Run services is now in public preview. Big picture of that is it supports L4 GPUs. You can scale to 0 and start up time targets of 30 seconds or less. And of course, to be able to make that happen, it has pre-installed drivers. Big deal, and definitely something that you want to check out if you're looking to try to manage costs of leveraging GPUs with Cloud Run. Cloud Run now also is a part of the Flex CUD support. There's still product CUDs for Cloud Run, which has a different amount of discounts for savings. But now Flex CUDs, and like I mentioned before, Flex CUDs are applicable to GKE, Standard, and Autopilot, as well as Cloud Run, as well as GCE. Cloud Run Functions is now generally available. Basically, a simplified development experience of building functions with Cloud Runs. Cloud Functions was always built on top of Cloud Run, but now we'll make it easier to make use of Cloud Functions and seamlessly switch between Cloud Run functions without any code changes. So what this means is that the Cloud Functions second generation is now Cloud Run Functions, and it's a new function as a service workload that's available. Another recent launch that's now generally available for Cloud Run is service level min instances. Previously, min instances was limited to the deployment, so that would have to actually revision. So that would actually involve a deployment for you to be able to change the min instances. But now this is at the service level that you can configure this with the UI, CLI, or API. In-memory volume mounts is now in public preview, and what that allows is an in-memory temporary file system that can be read-write shared between containers in a multi-container instance. It's similar to the empty dir style in Kubernetes. You can now also do volume mounts, which supports NFS and will later add support for GCS Fuse for Cloud Run. Uh, it lets you access the volume as if it was a local directory. And deployed storage volume is great for things like static websites, config maps, vector databases, etc. Custom Prometheus support is so we allow you to do custom metrics with either OpenTelemetry or using managed Prometheus. Uh, Basically, it deploys a sidecar running OpenTelemetry or managed Prometheus, and you can write metrics to the managed service for Prometheus or the backend of your choice using OpenTelemetry. So you can use it also as a temporary relay to migrating from one monitoring service to another. So public previews for automatic base image updates. What this does is it allows you to do zero downtime, zero build of the base image so that your container can keep running while the base image is made to update. This is something that, basically to improve your security posture. It's enabled by default also when creating Cloud Run functions. So this is something that a lot of customers and myself have been really eagerly waiting for, which is direct VPC networking. Previously, we only had support for serverless connector, but now with direct VPC networking, services are deployed into the subnet. It does require hundreds of IPs to be available, depending on the scaling that your Cloud Run service is going to do. And it only supports egress only, but it does support for network tags and firewall rules. Internal HTTP load balancer is now also generally available. To route traffic to Cloud Run services from internal services, you can basically securely access your Cloud Run services with IAP and VPC service connector. You can establish a single party policy enforcing internal egress point for your services, including running in Cloud Run, GCE, or GKE. And it allows you to migrate your services seamlessly between Cloud Run and take advantage of advanced traffic capabilities that you now have with Cloud Run. Session affinity is now generally available. It's just like it describes. It allows you to keep an affinity between clients and container instances. It's not enabled by default. So requests from the same client might be handled by different container instances. Cloud Run will utilize a session affinity cookie with a TTL of 30 days. And its value will help you identify multiple requests by the same client and direct the request to the same instance. And like I said, this is now generally available. Deterministic URLs is now generally available. And what that allows you to do is essentially allow you to figure out what the URL the service is going to get deployed to before you do the deployment. Service mesh is now supported in public preview. And basically, it allows you to deploy your service, integrate between different services using the service mesh. And Cloud Run now shows up as an option now in Cloud Service Mesh when you're trying to integrate between services. It's a fully managed gRPC sidecar or Proclus gRPC data plane for data. It gives you enterprise level reliability, observability, and security. It also does automatic service account token injection for Cloud Run to Cloud Run communication. This launch, it happened a few months back, but it's really important to highlight it because some customers may have experienced some challenges once this rolled out. But basically, there's now custom service accounts for Cloud Bill for Cloud Run. It basically changed the behavior for how Cloud Bill uses service accounts in new projects. The documentation gets into more detail on it, but customers that may have been using Cloud Bill to deploy services to Cloud Run may have ended up with some extra error messages or things that stopped working after this change has happened. You can opt out of it at the organizational policy level, but you can also make use of adding the custom service, which is actually the best practice we recommend for security reasons. So now the run service basically happens in 3 ways. You can just deploy a container, which is bring your own container. You can also provide source, which is writing a function. And then the function, of course, has event-driven logic low code, the least amount of code possible is with the function. And, basically there's three major ways in which you can make use of Cloud Run as a service, either just deploying a container, deploying source, or writing a function. So some of the things to look forward to for the roadmap for Cloud Run, we're going to have some features that allow you to secure your containers. We're definitely focusing on improving the developer experience. That seems to be a priority for the development team. Expanding supported workloads is also a goal of the team, and then expanded networking capabilities is something also to expect. So here's some of the things to look for that's happened recently for Cloud Observability. Cloud Monitoring is now deprecating MQL or monitoring query language. We're now recommended that customers actually make use of PromQL for querying data. Since this is essentially where the open source standard is, we expect customers to really be excited about that. Interactive playbook dashboard is something that you may have noticed. It allows you to troubleshoot issues like with compute engine, with MIG autoscaling, health check failures, etc. And what it does is it gives you a UI interface and then gives you recommendations for things to check to figure out what may be triggering the alert. There's now agent installation policies for Ops Agent, basically to allow you to do automated installation and maintenance of Ops Agents across a fleet of compute engine VMs. And then there's cloud monitoring alerting is now going to no longer be free starting in January 2025. So there's something to be aware of. That if you're making use of cloud monitoring alerting, there will be a charge for it starting in January. Something also I want to highlight, which is our new support for ObserveIQ bindplane. So bindplane pipelines is one way of basically allowing you to ingest telemetry pipelines inside of all your different applications. The bindplane agents sending to Google Cloud is now free using Cloud Observability as a target. And there's a bunch of different capabilities you get with the bindplane agents, such as filtering, deduping, routing, masking, data enrichment, log symmetrics, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a whole host of capabilities. And like I mentioned, bindplane OP is for Google is now free with Cloud Observability. And some of the capabilities, it's a single agent for logs, metrics, and tracing. It gives you pretty robust configuration and development options with UI, CLI, and API. And it allows you to do remote deployment of configurations at scale and automatic agent updates. So it's definitely something to check out. And there's more information on your website about it. And the big picture of the thing we'd like to highlight the most is the processes and filtering capabilities you get with bindplane. And it also gives you an easy-to-use GUI to visualize data flows for logging and telemetry information. One of the main reasons why we partnered with ObserveIQ is actually because of their support for open telemetry, and that's one of the reasons why we make that's probably going to be our #1 recommendation. So we'll take a few minutes break between the next session, which will be on data analytics and as well as Looker. So I guess just a few minute breaks until our next session.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Data Analytics and Looker Roadmap session. My name is Navjot. I'm a customer engineer with Google Cloud. I've been with Google for almost 4 years. And today I'll be covering Data Analytics Roadmap. And then I'll hand it over to Ani to talk about Looker Roadmap. So as a part of this presentation, we'll be talking about BigQuery and its integration with other GCP data products. So if you have a question about the roadmap or capabilities of data services and products we are not covering in this presentation, please feel free to put that in our chat, or feel free to reach out to your account team and they'll be happy to assist you further. Let's get started. So before we go into roadmap and capabilities, let's set the context. So for past 18 months, GenAI truly captured the world's attention in a way we haven't seen in a long time. GenAI can personalize customer and user experiences. Think about tailoring marketing content, educational materials, and even healthcare recommendations. But now organizations are looking to take next step and turn that excitement and potential into real business results. That's where data comes into picture. The critical part to understand is that data and AI are interconnected. And the truth is that all organizations will have or has access to same LLMs. And how you will truly differentiate is by combining your enterprise data to ground and fine-tune these models to provide targeted and personalized experiences for your customers and users. So as data is a critical part of this journey, we are seeing several challenges related to data within our customer base or in the field. The first challenge is unstructured data. Unstructured data holds valuable hidden insights, and generally traditional tools struggle to analyze unstructured data. So you would want to choose a data platform which has first-class support for unstructured data. One of the other challenge we are seeing is related to real-time intelligence, and it is becoming important to offer personalized and targeted experiences, react to market trends quickly, or maybe react to the events happening in your business in a real time. So to solve this, you would want to choose a data platform which supports data streaming and enables you to react to these events in a real time. And one of the other challenge we are seeing is that it takes too long to get useful information from data sources and finally get to the insights, because tools and technologies organizations are using are very fragmented. So you would want to choose a data platform where all of these tools and technologies are well integrated. And one of the final challenge we are seeing is related to data governance. And it has been challenged for past several years, but with this new GenAI wave, it has become increasingly more important than ever. So considering these challenges, customers are adopting GCP data platform because we have the most complete data products and features. Think about databases, then a data warehouse and ingestion into the warehouse, and all the business intelligence, and our AI platform called Vertex AI. And among all of this, BigQuery is at the heart of our data analytics platform. BigQuery is a multi-engine. You can run SQL inside BigQuery. You can run Spark jobs. You can do your analysis in Python in a BigQuery data frames, and you can even build search applications on top of BigQuery. Then one of the challenges we talked about was unstructured data. BigQuery has support for structured, semi-structured, and through GCS object tables, you can even analyze unstructured data inside BigQuery. And BigQuery has built-in governance capabilities. You can stream data into BigQuery to solve your real-time use cases. And on top of that, it has LLM integration. From BigQuery, you can directly call Vertex AI Gemini and other models to generate text or generate embeddings on top of data sitting right inside BigQuery, and that too using plain SQL. And all of this is possible because of BigQuery's unique architecture, where storage and compute are decoupled and can scale independently. and they are interconnected with Google's petabit network. And because BigQuery is built on Google's global distributed computing platform, it is highly reliable, efficient, and it can scale. You don't need to manage any infrastructure. You just push your data to BigQuery and start analyzing. So you spend more time on analysis than managing infrastructure. Now let's get into some of the roadmap items and capabilities. First, we'll start with how you interact with BigQuery. So for past few years, we have invested a lot in enhancing the experience of working with BigQuery. And BigQuery Studio is a one-stop shop for all data practitioners. You have SQL editor for data analysts to explore and analyze data using SQL. You get access to Python notebooks backed by BigQuery data frames. And then data preparation, it's currently in preview, and it's a quick way to transform and make updates to the data. On top of that, we have recently launched Data Canvas to transform, query, analyze, and visualize data using natural language in a visual interface. And Data Canvas targets all personas working within BigQuery. And all of this is powered by Gemini. So think of it as if you're working in a SQL editor, you can generate SQL using natural language. If you are writing a SQL code, Gemini can help you to complete that SQL code. Or if you have already SQL written, and it can help you to understand that code. Think of it as a new data analyst you're hiring, and Gemini can help you to onboard new data analysts faster on your code repository, because it can explain them the SQL code. And even if you're working in a Python notebook, Gemini can help you to generate and complete Python code as well. Then we briefly talked about BigQuery Data Canvas. As I mentioned previously, it's a new way to search, discover, query, transform, analyze, and visualize data using a natural language form. That too in a visual interface. You can start by searching data. So after that, you can select your data set based on your search criteria, and then you can ask questions in a natural language, and Gemini will generate SQL for you, which you can run and get the final results. Now, it also supports a multi-threaded analysis. You want to pull another data set, you can again start with search and join these two data sets and finally get to your insights. And now you want to visualize that data, you can put a prompt to generate graphs or chart using natural language. On top of that, you can save your analysis and share it with your other team members for collaboration. Then data preparation. It's an upcoming feature, and it's going into preview very soon. Data preparation helps you to cleanse, transform, and prepare data within BigQuery UI. Think of it, those messy date formats in one of the columns. You can just quickly format few of those rows, and then BigQuery will learn from it and provide you a formula to transform those dates into a unified format, which you can quickly run it, and it will save all of those formats into a new BigQuery table. So with data preparation, you can save time in data cleansing and data ingestion. Then BigQuery Workflows. It's a brand new feature within BigQuery Studio. It's currently in preview. Using BigQuery Workflows, you can schedule SQL scripts or Python notebooks. And in future, you may be able to schedule data canvas or data preparation, we just talked about, as well using BigQuery Studio. It's a way of visual way of building a workflow without writing any code. And it is powered by Dataform. So now let's talk about data to AI integration. So BigQuery was the first cloud data warehouse to offer SQL-based integrated machine learning. In BigQuery, using BigQuery machine learning, you can create, train, and execute machine learning models using standard SQL. Think of it as a classification model, linear regression, maybe time series forecasting using a RIMA model. But now We have also integrated Vertex AI Gemini models. So you can generate text, you can generate embeddings right inside BigQuery using standard SQL on top of BigQuery data. Currently, Gemini Pro is in GA, and Gemini 1.5 Pro and Anthropic Claude are in preview. So what can you do with these with this LLM integration? You can do sentiment analysis. Think of it as all the social media or customer reviews you have saved inside BigQuery. You can use BigQuery ML, call these Vertex AI Gemini models, and get the sentiment analysis on top of your data. Data enrichment, then entity extraction. You have product reviews sitting inside BigQuery. You can detect the themes in those product reviews so you can improve your product. Then customize or tailored content generation, and then translation if you're if you have a data in one language and you want to convert it into different language, you can do that right there using BigQuery machine learning with connection to LLM models. And within BigQuery machine learning, you can also generate embedding and save those embeddings inside BigQuery. And BigQuery has support for vector data. You can create vector indexes and implement drag design directly inside data warehouse. And using this vector search capabilities, you can implement use cases of semantic and similarity search or product recommendation. Now, after with this data and AI integration, now let's talk about some of the other capabilities which makes a BigQuery or a GCP as a complete data platform. So a couple of years ago, we launched Big Lake, a storage engine for the Lakehouse architecture. So Big Lake kind of lets you have a common way to work with data, whether it is in a BigQuery native storage, or we call it a managed storage, or in any of the open formats stored in a cloud storage, or maybe even other cloud storage or cloud providers. So Big Lake has been in the market for a couple of years, but recently we announced the Big Lake managed table currently in preview, and we extended the support of BigQuery managed table for Iceberg, and that includes DML and high throughput streaming for Big Lake managed tables. So our long-term goal is to support the same set of capabilities in Big Lake that you get with BigQuery's managed storage. So make it a more comprehensive data lake or a lakehouse platform. And one of the other key feature of BigQuery is Analytics Hub. Till now, you could use Analytics Hub to share your BigQuery data sets, but now we are expanding Analytics Hub beyond just BigQuery data sets. It's currently in preview where you can share pub/sub topic inside Analytics Hub. So it kind of solves the use cases of sharing real-time streams and then brings security and more efficiency on that side. Okay, so one of the other features which is currently in preview is Managed Kafka. Kafka is one of the leading event handling platforms used by many organizations across the globe. Now we have fully managed Kafka platform available on GCP with deep integration with BigQuery. So you can bring your existing Kafka workload directly into GCP, and it would be compatible with your existing Kafka apps. So you don't need to worry about managing the infrastructure related to Kafka. You have a managed version on GCP now. Continuous query. So we have, it's currently in a preview. It's a recent innovation in a real-time analytics. So continuous queries are a SQL statement that run continuously, unbounded SQL statement. And it lets you analyze incoming data in BigQuery in real time, and you can insert the output rows produced by the continuous queries into a BigQuery table, or export them into a pub/sub, or into a big table. So it solves the real-time analytics use cases. Think of it as an anomaly detection as the data is arriving. You want to continuously analyze data analyze that data and detect anomalies. So continuous query is the right fit for that. Then data ingestion and integration. So BigQuery has a data transfer service. There are several connectors are already in GA. For past an year, we launched Salesforce, ServiceNow, Facebook Ads, and some of the other connectors which are in preview. And now we are also launching Jira, Confluence, MySQL, and PostgreSQL. Look for those announcements as we push those to preview. Then we have DataStream. DataStream is a service to get your transactional data query. And we support several sources, including MySQL, PostgreSQL, AlloyDB, and SQL Server to get data from those transactional DBs into BigQuery. And some of the enterprise-ready feature, we talked about data governance earlier. It is an integral part of BigQuery. BigQuery can automatically tracks end-to-end lineage for all of the BigQuery tables, BigLake, and BigQuery Omni, and it helps you understand the movement of your data, and you can see that in a graphical representation inside BigQuery UI. BigQuery can also scan your table and provide metrics regarding the quality of the data based on the certain rule you provide, and it helps you build the trust in data. So to make sure it is up to the quality or the quality rules you have set it for your organization. We also have data profiling inside BigQuery. It provides statistical profiling of data right inside BigQuery UI. And all of these features are powered by Dataplex, which is a data governance tool. It is well integrated within BigQuery. So now let's talk about workload management. If you know BigQuery pricing model, we have on-demand model and additions. In on-demand model, you are paying by the bytes processed by each query. In additions model, you set the minimum number of slots and the maximum number of slots, and BigQuery will auto scale up and down within those predefined limits. It's a price-based performance. And you have 3 additions to choose from. You have Standard, Enterprise, and Enterprise Plus. If you're doing some development work, you can put it in you could put those workloads in a Standard edition. If you have a production workload, you can put it in an Enterprise, including BigQuery machine learning workloads. And if you have any mission-critical workloads, you can choose to put those on Enterprise Plus. So at the backend, Edition is powered by Autoscaler, and we have made some recent updates and enhancements in Autoscaler. For example, it scales up more efficiently and more precisely. We have also reduced the slot increment from 100 to 50, which may be appealing to some of the customer and may result into cost savings. And it also goes back to the point of Autoscaler being more precise when allocating slots. So that's all I had on the DA side. With that, I'll hand it over to Ani to go through Looker roadmap. Thank you, everyone. That's all I had on the DA side. With that, I'll hand it over to Ani to go through Looker roadmap.
Before I go deep into the agenda, I know we already introduced ourselves in the beginning, but my name is Ani Jain. I'm in the product management team here at Looker and Google Cloud, and I've been here for about 5 years now. So the agenda for today is as follows. There are 4 specific things that I want to talk to you about that is critical to what we're doing here at Looker. So one of the things is going to be Studio and Looker. The second would be Gemini and Looker. The third is how Looker is an open platform and how we're enhancing and embracing the ecosystem around us. And fourth will be everything that we want to do in the embedded analytics space. So I know that we have a very short amount of time, and there's a lot more to the roadmap, but I wanted to make sure I get the key points from the roadmap over to you in the short amount of time that we have today. So before we go deeper into each of these topics, I wanted to just set some context and give you an idea of how we're thinking here in the Looker team. So leveraging data effectively requires a balance. There's technical users who need tools that enhance productivity, while their business users must be able to independently engage with the data for decision making. So in this day and age where AI is everywhere, we feel like AI can streamline the workflows of data engineers and analysts. So we focus on automating repetitive tasks and providing intelligent suggestions, allowing them to focus on high-value analysis and modern development. So we're empowering business users with intuitive self-service data exploration, and it also reduces the reliance on technical teams, right? So Google AI is actually bridging the gap where we're bringing together both the technical users and the non-technical users to efficiently be able to use this platform that we're building. Now, the roadmap is divided into three specific key areas, or we call it pillars. The first one is a complete BI suite where end-to-end, no matter what part of the user ecosystem you are, you will have all the tools that you need to leverage the platform. Second is infused with intelligence, where we're incorporating a lot of the Google AI technologies into the system and into the platform. And third, it's the trusted and open platform. How do you deliver the consistent and trusted metrics while still empowering the users to analyze the data within the tool of their choice? So let's first start with what is Studio and Looker and how that is a key part of our product strategy. Now, I spoke about delivering a complete BI and AI platform. So about 2 to 3 years ago, when Looker became a part of Google, this product called Data Studio, now called Looker Studio, became a part of our portfolio. And what we quickly realized is that Looker is obviously known for its enterprise semantic model, the governance, and all of the different embeddability and the data platform that you can build. Whereas Looker Studio has this Google Easy dashboarding interface that allows you to do ad hoc analysis. Looker Studio was built within the Google ecosystem. And what we want to do is basically bring the two products together, where if the Looker users, if they choose to, want to do ad hoc analysis, connect to some of the cloud sources, connect to Excel, connect to Sheets, they have the option of doing that. And that is exactly what we call Studio and Looker, where we're taking the Studio interface and putting it inside Looker to give the Looker customers an option, if they choose to leverage this ad hoc analysis. Now, again, this public preview should be coming out sometime next month. But our goal here, again, is giving the Looker customers the ability to leverage all of the Google Easy dashboarding that Looker Studio provides, connectivity to over 950 data sources, even accessing some of the Gemini and Looker capabilities, and just expanding the portfolio that Looker currently has. So watch out for this. The public preview should be coming out sometime next month. And this exactly is the feature rollout plan. Again, I won't go step by step into what is listed here, but with the public preview, it's going to be an opt-in feature. You will have access to the Looker data model. You'll have access to the Excel connector. And we're going to keep working on the public preview and making it better, getting all the feedback. And with GA, you'll have the user management, the permissions, the content, and support for Google authentication. Now, next is Gemini and Looker. And Gemini and Looker is all about our data agents that are leveraging generative AI and Google AI capabilities under the platform, leveraging Looker's semantic model and making workflows and making all the BI tasks easier for all the users. So there are 5 specific features that I want to talk to you about. The first one is called conversational analytics. And this is one of our newest capability that we're super excited about. And basically what this is a new GenAI analytical experience to ask questions about your data. So users no longer need to understand or need to be technical enough to understand the BI tools. They can simply choose which data to ask questions, and they can do it in a natural language way. So you can connect to BigQuery, you can connect to the Looker data model, you can connect to Sheets. And again, this is in public preview today. It's available today. So you can try it out, you can test this out and give us any feedback. But this is something that will really, we are really excited about, and a lot of our customers are excited about as well. Again, this is called conversational analytics. The next one, again, is also in public preview, is called automatic slide generation. So what this does is, let's say you have a report in Looker. With just one click of a button, you can actually choose to export that entire report into Google Slides. And what the agent does automatically behind the scenes is it takes each visualization that you have in the report and it puts it on a separate slide for you. And in addition, it adds a text narrative on the right of the slide that explains what the visualization is all about. So let's say you were to share this slide deck with a colleague or someone in a different department. They don't just see a visualization, but they actually get context. They actually understand what that data is. And this is really cool for sharing, for collaboration. And also a lot of the times we often just want to see data in some sort of slides format. So again, this is in public preview today. Please use it, give us your feedback, and we expect all of these Gemini and Looker features to be GA sometime next year in the first quarter. The third feature is called the Formula Assistant. Again, this is really powerful when you do some ad hoc analysis. For example, you're running a report and suddenly you want to create like a metric or a measure on the fly. And sometimes it's just like concatenating last name and first name, right? But oftentimes we don't know what the syntax is, what exactly should be the proper formula. So oftentimes we have to go back, look at the guide. But what this Formula Assistant agent does for us is you just chat with your data, just tell them, hey, combine first and last name, create a new field for me. And this agent creates this automatically for you. And all you have to do and then just insert it back into the report and go on with your analysis. It's that simple. Now, LookML Assistant. Now, this is one I'm actually really excited about because we all know the LookML and the strength of LookML is one of the biggest differentiators for Looker. It defines standard business logic across the businesses. It has robust data permissions. There's row level, column level content, and it's a Git integrated IDE with version control. But oftentimes a lot of our customers have said, so if you're a SQL, if you're good with SQL, LookML should be a piece of cake for you. But let's say there are some users who may not be as efficient in SQL, and they've often told us, well, LookML could be a bit tough to write. So what we're doing with this LookML Assistant, again, is creating it for you. All you have to do is chat and say, this is the dimension I want to create. This is the measure I want to create. And the agent automatically uses the AI capabilities and builds that model for you. Now, again, you can choose to accept it, you can choose to modify it, or you can choose to completely ignore it. But what it does is it gives you a starting point for your code. And this is actually super, super cool. And that is called LookML Assistant. And then the last feature for Gemini and Looker that we have is called Visualization Assistant. Now, visualization tools have like a limited set of chart options, and it also always seems like, the one option that you need is not there. So, you can always create a custom visualization in Looker using the advanced visualization editor. But what if you are not as good with writing code, and even though we introduced the advanced viz editor, it requires writing code. Now, what we're doing is adding a natural language assistant where you can actually just take, chat and say, if I want to change a bar graph into a line graph, you just write that chat, or you can just put that into the prompt into the system, and let the agent automatically refine the code for you. And this means infinite possibilities for charts without code. So again, all of these Gemini and Looker features are in public preview, so you all should have access to it. And we would love to hear any feedback. as we proceed to our goal for making this GA next year. Now, let's talk about Looker's open platform and ecosystem and some of the things that we have done here. Now, Looker's trusted modeling layer provides a single place to curate and govern the metrics that are most important to your business. This means that the users will see consistent results regardless of where they are and consumed, right? Now, what we want to do is ensure that you can use this consistent, trustworthy information in your tools of choice, which is why we've opened up the Looker modeling layer to our ecosystem. And we're actively engaged with our partners to ensure that the information that is in your Looker platform doesn't necessarily stay there. Now, one of the things that we're doing in addition to building first-party and third-party connectors are we recognize that there's an endless tail of additional third-party BI tools that customers want to connect to, and we'll never be able to build and maintain individual connectors. So what we're doing is building a generic JDBC server, which will enable us to deliver on the promise of this openness that we're talking about by providing our customers with the ability to leverage the Looker semantic layer with a wide variety of downstream tools. Any tool that supports connectivity via JDBC can use this tool. And this is actually GA. So our goal is to help organizations activate data based on single source of truth. Now, the other ones that we actually GA'd this year and super excited about are connectors to Tableau and ThoughtSpot. You know, a lot of people love ThoughtSpot, a lot of people love Tableau, but they are not really happy with the governance of the data, right? There's like data silos, and we partnered with these companies. And what you can do now is store all your data in the Looker semantic model, but the front end can be Tableau or Power BI. Again, it's still coming from the Looker data model of a different front choice, right? So you have Looker at the bottom with all your data. You know that the data is trusted, governed, everything is good. And then your front is Tableau, or it could be ThoughtSpot. But then we partnered with these companies to build these connectors, and they both are GA today. We're also working on an Excel connector for Looker. Again, this is in preview right now, but our goal is to, in Looker model, still be able to curate your data, be able to connect to your data in Excel, and make sure the governance layer is always there. I spoke about Tableau and Power BI. We actually also have Tableau and ThoughtSpot. We also have a Power BI connector that is GA, again, leveraging the Looker semantic model, but showcasing and visualizing the results in Power BI, the tool of your choice. And the reports, the other thing that we also have is our integration generally with Workspace. There's a bunch of other work that we've done with Sheets, where you can use Sheets data in the Looker data model. But one of the things that we recently came out with is this block for Google Workspace. So the reports that are available in the Workspace block enables customers to get insight into the areas of Workspace adoption, collaboration, and security. This allows customers to review the effectiveness of Google Workspace within any organization, and it highlights any areas that might need improvement through targeted training, outreach, or specific guidance. So this block is actually available in the Looker marketplace today. Now, quickly, I know I'm a bit over time, but let me quickly go through some of the embedded analytics things. Again, there's a lot of things that we've done, but the key things that I wanted to highlight is this advanced visualization editor that I spoke about initially. So visualization in Looker, which use High Charts API, can be customized further by using this editor. So this editor lets you, uses the JSON configuration, and it just helps you build as many visualizations as you want. And this, again, is GA, and a lot of our customers are leveraging this. And we've already come up with many, many chart types. So you can see a list here. There's a lot more that we're going to be working on through the course of the year, but our goal is to be able to provide customers with more and more visualizations with this capability.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking your time to joining us to discuss how you can unlock innovation with Vertex AI Roadmap session. Throughout the session, feel free to use chat to post your questions and interact with your fellow attendees. My name is Dhruva Reddy. I'm a senior AI solutions architect supporting North America startups. I've been with Google almost 5 years now, and I've been working with many startups, helping them solve some complex problems across different industry segments. For the next 30 minutes, let's look at our AI product strategy and what's new with generative AI at Google Cloud, followed by Vertex AI, which is our end-to-end ML development platform, and end with how startups can fast track AI adoption with Agent Builder. Let's dive in. All right. So we have seen the incredible potential of Gen AI, right? These models can write compelling marketing copy, generate innovative code, and even brainstorm new product ideas. But how do we move beyond the wow factor of a prototype and actually integrate this technology into our businesses? Think of it like building a house. We start with a blueprint, our prototype. It shows us the basic structure and potential, but to make it a livable space, a real home, we need a strong foundation. That means clear problem we are solving with Gen AI, selecting the right model for the job, and deploying a functional prototype. But it doesn't stop there. As we move towards production, the scope of our needs expands. It's like adding plumbing, electricity, and all essential systems that makes house functional and comfortable. We need a clear strategy for how Gen AI will be used. The right team with the necessary skills and clean, unified data to fuel our AI engines. And just like the house needs solid infrastructure, our Gen AI applications need the computing power and resources to perform reliably. We also need to establish governance, setting clear guidance and ethical considerations for responsible AI use. This includes prioritizing data security, privacy, and building trust in the system. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a whole world of consideration beyond the slide, like ongoing monitoring, maintenance, and continuous improvement of the models. So the key takeaway here is that the successfully deploying Gen AI solutions requires a holistic approach. It's not just about the technology itself, but about strategy, data, infrastructure, and responsible AI practices. It's about building a complete system that delivers real value to your business. That's where Vertex AI comes into picture. Right? Gen AI on Vertex AI lets you build production-ready applications that are powered by state-of-the-art generative AI models, hosted on Google's advanced global infrastructure. Here you see how we manifest these themes into our platform. At the bottom, you have our AI hypercomputer infrastructure with the best of GPUs and TPUs, and how our Google Data Cloud, uh, like uh, integrates with the rest of the platform. Next, you have Model Garden, where you can start your AI work, the best in foundational models from Google. Uh, Not just Google, you have models from the open community and our industry partners, right? Then we come to the model builder layer on top of that. Here you can customize and augment your models, both predictive and generative, right? For example, and notebooks allow you to seamlessly work across data and development. And it's all managed by our end-to-end ML ops tooling, right? And finally, you have the agent builder layer. Here you can quickly develop and deploy agents with out of the box and custom agents grounded in search data from Google and your own enterprise data. And you can also connect the models to the world with extensions, connectors, and also retrieval engines. Let's get into some of the features and roadmap items in each of these segments. Let's start with Model Garden, right? Little bit into what Model Garden is for those who don't know. Model Garden on Vertex AI helps you jumpstart your ML project with a single place to discover, customize, and deploy a wide variety of models from Google and its Google's partners. Right today, we have around 150 plus models available from Google's first-party models like Gemini, Palm, and then Google's partners models like Anthropic, and then we do have open source models like Mistral and Gemma available. Um, Focusing specifically on some of the new releases and the latest models, starting off with Gemini 1.5 series. It's a series or models that are designed for general performance across a wide range of text, code, and multimodal tasks. For example, Gemini models can be used to synthesize information from 1,000-page PDFs. You can answer questions about repos containing more than 10,000 lines of code, take in hour-long videos, and create useful content from them, and more. Right? Focusing a little bit on Gemini 1.5 Flash, it is built for high volume tasks where cost and latency matter. Right? And it also has best intelligence to price ratio on the market. And it supports around 1 million context window and same multi-model support as 1.5 Pro. Moving on to Gemini 1.5 Pro, it's our best model for scaling across a wide range of tasks. You can orchestrate complex tasks involving higher order reasoning, more nuance, depth, and understanding than the Flash model. It also offers top tier quality across a range of complex tasks. Uh, with one of the clear differentiator is the 2 million context window that Gemini 1.5 Pro offers. With some of the latest updates that we did to both Flash and Pro, it's now got better, faster, and more cost efficient to build within production systems. We see a 7% increase in MMLU Pro, a more challenging version of the popular MMLU benchmark. On math and hidden math, uh, like benchmarks, both models have made a considerable 20% improvement. For vision and code use cases, both models also perform better, ranging from 2 to 7% across evals, measuring visual understanding and Python code generation. Uh, Focusing a little bit on Gemini 1.5 Pro, the can expand the capabilities of your applications by using the 2 million token context window supported by Gemini 1.5 Pro. Historically, LLMs were significantly limited by the amount of text, or tokens that can be passed to the model at a time. The Gemini 1.5 long context window with near perfect retrieval unlocks many new use cases and developer paradigms. So the Gemini 1.5 model family enables a new paradigm of multimodal use cases. These models can natively understand text, video, audio, and images. As you can see, Gemini 1.5 Pro offers 2 million context window, which is 10 times bigger than the second biggest model, which is Claude 3, which offers around 200,000 tokens. Moving a little bit into our open and third-party models that are available, Anthropic Claude models on Vertex AI offers fully managed and serverless models as APIs. Especially Claude 3.5 is our first model to launch with dynamic shared quota. With this technology, you no longer have individual quota. We have increased the quota limits for models online serving to the maximum allowed per region. This way, we limit the number of queries per second that you can run by the shared capacity of all queries running at the serving station, instead of limiting, like an individual queries per second by a quota, right? So you don't have to go through the hassle of requesting for more limits. It's all taken care by dynamic shared quota. Moving a little bit into the open models. Open models provide a pre-trained capabilities for various AI tasks, including Gemini models that excel in multi-model processing. You can use open models like Mistral and Google's Gemma with Vertex AI. When you use an open model with Vertex AI, you use Vertex AI for your infrastructure. You can also use open models with other infrastructure products like such as PyTorch or JAX. Imagine 3. Imagine 3 is our latest text to image model on Vertex. Um, has a very big improvement over our previous Imagine 2 and our competitors. Some of the features, notable features include it has a photorealistic generation of groups of people, like you see in the image on the screen. It also offers better prompt understanding and instruction following, um, greater control over text rendering within an image. It also has multi-language support. Right. When it comes to safety, uh, customers value safety and the and we uh, and the protections provided by our models. Similarly to Imagine 3, uh, Imagine 3 also has a feature in the roadmap called Imagine 3 Customization Suite. It provides few short capabilities that enable you to create images by providing your own image data in the API request to generate images that maintain the appearance of products, styles, people, and animal companions. Right. Um, Now that we saw model garden, let's move on to model builder. Um, Vertex AI is a machine learning platform that lets you train, deploy ML models um, and AI applications and customize large language models for use in your AI powered applications. Vertex AI combines data engineering, data science, and ML engineering workflows, enabling your teams to collaborate using a common toolset and scale your applications using the benefits of Google Cloud. Let's look at some of the latest features within Vertex AI that helps you take these models into production. Starting off with long context of 2 million tokens, that we briefly discussed. This long context allows you to do many short in context learning, where getting good quality, reliable, or customizable performance on tasks can be challenging. This is where research shows that many short learning can outperform the fine tuning. You can use hundreds and thousands of examples, all within the context window, to substantially improve task performance. You can also do document and code analysis. There are a number of useful insights in long documents or large code bases. Extracting insights can require a comprehension of the full document or code base, right? So that's where you can use Gemini 1.5's context window, can ingest like up to like uh, a million words and 30K lines of codes at once without you having to do the chunking. And then you can also do long form video and audio analysis. Audio and video contains unstructured insights that are difficult to take advantage of. Extracting insights from long form audio and video takes up a lot of token space. Gemini 1.5 natively understands up to like 1 to 2 hours of video and 11 hours of audio, right? You can pass all those data across different modalities, all within the long context. Moving on to context caching. You can use context caching to reduce the cost of requests that contain repeat content with high input token counts. Cached context items such as large amount of text, audio file, or video file can be used in prompt requests to the Gemini API to generate output. The request that use the same cache in the prompt also includes text unique to each prompt. For example, each prompt request that composes a chat conversation might include the same context cache that references a video along with unique text that comprises each turn in the chat. For long context utilization scenarios, there is an opportunity to reduce cost and latency for commonly used context passed to Gemini, right? Uh, the value add is right, like uh, I have seen customers who lowered costs for queries by up to 75 percentage. Their ability to reduce the compute for commonly used context passed to Gemini. Moving on to provision throughput. So for customers for running enterprise grade generative AI applications in productions, the workloads need to be reliable and available without sudden or unpredictable spend. That's where provision throughput comes in. It provides a reserved capacity to cover critical workloads on a predictable monthly billing. Right? Is specifically useful in real-time applications like chatbots or agents, where you want to maintain a reliable performance and deterministic costs for predictable scale and beyond, like proof of concepts. Talking a little bit about the open framework support, right? Um, Ray on Vertex AI, right? Like developers and engineers face several major challenges when scaling AI ML workloads, such as access to sufficient amount of GPUs, CPUs, diverse patterns and programming interfaces, running the workload securely in production, right? That's where, like you can accelerate AI development time with Ray's easy to use API. You can unify AI development experience. You can scale your Python workloads seamlessly, and also enjoy integration MLOps features such as, like Colab Enterprise, cloud logging and monitoring, right? And moving on to like the PyTorch and SaxML, right? Like it the resource sharing across the multiple deployments makes it will be made easier and cost effective model serving. You can do improved utilization of memory and computational resources. um, so OpenAI compatibility. So we have an API called the Chat Completions API, which lets you send requests to Vertex AI models by using the OpenAI libraries for Python and REST. If you are already using OpenAI libraries, you can use this API to switch between calling OpenAI models and models. One, to compare outputs, you can find the model that best aligns with your desired results. Two, you can optimize costs. You can balance performance and budget with flexible model options. And three, you can scale easily, right? You can meet growing demands without sacrificing quality, without changing your existing code. This feature is in preview. Please feel free to check it out. Moving on to scaling with confidence. So the demand for enterprise-ready generative AI services is increasing around the world. As companies look to leverage generative AI to the fullest, many want to be able to control where their data is stored in light of growing data sovereignty and global regulatory requirements. Right? And protecting customer data, your data, and privacy has always been core to Google Cloud mission. And this commitment is more important than ever as AI continues to evolve and mass adoption increases. Beyond our new data residency regions, uh, some of the key factors are, like customers control their data and models and control access to them, and you control where and how data and models are stored. Organization can opt to store data in locations they select, preventing deployments outside specific geographic boundaries. And customer data is never used by Google. We do not use customer data to train our models or models used by others. And customers enjoy enterprise grade security and privacy defaults. Data residency at rest means that Google commits to only storing customer data in customer selected locations consistent with Google Cloud's general service terms. This means as well that the foundational model processing may happen outside of reference geographical area. Also, the data residency approach here extends to data residency at rest. to include performing machine learning processing in the US when requests are made to regionally available APIs in the US, or even EU, right? When requests are made to regionally available APIs in the EU or UK regions. Um, Now that we have seen Model Garden, Model Builder, let's move on to how you can fast track AI adoption with Agent Builder. Right? Agent Builder includes a comprehensive set of services and tools that enables developers to easily build and deploy enterprise grade and production ready Gen AI experiences. These tools are built for uh, from the ground up to leverage the model garden and the model builder capabilities. Uh, it allows you to build your Gen AI agents or AI applications. You can do that with no matter like what your technical background is, whether you're a business user or a data analyst or a developer or an ML engineer. You have options here. Uh, you can build Gen AI agents with a fully no code console or via a low code approach based on a high abstraction level agent APIs, or you can build it via a full code approach where you can implement your own orchestration. A core component of Vertex AI Agent Builder is Vertex AI Search that allows you to search your data and to ground the models in your data or the web. Let us look into the typical composition of Gen AI agent. We can define an AI agent as an application that uses Gen AI models to think and act to reach a given goal. Right. At a very high level, the developer can specify the goal of an agent, the instruction on how to reach the goal, and set of models to use, and the tools that the agent can use. These tools can be of different types. The developer can specify the APIs or functions to call for, like for example, to perform actions. The data stores that the agent can search to get the relevant information, or even define subagents specialized for particular tasks. And at the center, there is an agent brain that orchestrates the steps that the agent performs to reach that goal. The orchestrator then leverages large models to perform the reasoning. For example, it can produce a plan on how to reach the given goals and executes the plan iteratively by searching for the right data, executing the needed actions, and then feeding back the retrieved data or the outcome of the actions to the model to determine the next steps. Um, Talking about the no-code console in the Vertex AI, it offers a very similar interface to the one we just discussed to simplify building blocks of the agent and to quickly assemble the agent capable of searching your data and reasoning and performing actions, right? Um, and then the full code option, it is also possible to implement your Gen AI application or agent with uh, full code control. You can do this by implementing your own reasoning loops in the code that call the models, process data, and manage the retrieval and action calling. If you prefer, you can also leverage existing popular orchestration frameworks such as LangChain or Llama Index, or even Google Firebase Gen AI JetKit. As the Vertex AI Agent Builder offers like a managed service in Vertex AI for these frameworks. The next feature that I would like to highlight is the function calling. Right, function calling is built-in feature of the Gemini API that helps you transform natural language into structured data and back again. This means that there is nothing that you need to do or on to add on or install separately. It's just there ready for you to use it. When you work with function calling in Gemini API, instead of getting back a natural language, um, summary, we get back a structured JSON object. This object specifies which among the functions we should call and what are the parameters for that call. When we complete the API call and return the output data to the Gemini model, we get a natural language response, binding it all together. Right. Gen AI applications become useful for real if you're able to get your data to the model. This enables the agent to answer user questions pertinent to your products and services instead very generically, or to reason and generate content based on your data. That's where Vertex AI Search offers all the steps of the modern generative AI search with the best in class Google grade search performance. The first step is to connect to your data. Then that can be unstructured documents of all types, databases, structured data catalogs, or internal or external websites. And then the next step is to understand the data, so that we can make it easier to find. Sometimes that understanding part is easy, like for a text document or HTML, but sometimes it's really hard. Uh, uh, like considering parsing PDFs with page breaks, embedded data across many different layouts, tables, charts, etc. Once we understand the data, now we can divide them into annotated chunks that retain coherent and complete semantical information that we can use to create embeddings. And then comes LLM processes these chunks of data and encodes the semantic meaning into vectors that are written down for a subsequent lookup. At runtime, when a user enters a query, we need to spell check the query and then figure out what in the context of whole conversation would we search for. We then search for most relevant pieces of information, and then we then rank these results among them based on user behavior. So what does it take to build a RAG search yourself? Honestly, there are like a lot of different ways to do it, but here is the pretty standard pattern. And that's where Vertex AI Search comes into play, right? Like it offers you an out of the box solution that encompasses all of the steps that I just defined, uh, and offers state of the art performance that you can set up within minutes, right? Um, And one of the clear differentiators of Google Cloud is grounding on Vertex AI. It offers the ability for you to ground the generation of Gemini models into web fresh data or your own data, right? Grounding basically provides the benefits of like reducing model hallucinations. Two, helps you to anchor model responses to specific information, and it also enhances the trustworthiness and applicability of generated content. In Vertex AI today, you can ground your responses based on one Google search, your own data. You can ground with third-party data. It's coming up, and you can ground with high fidelity based on your own documents. Then the dynamic retrieval, right? Like a little bit on Google search, grounding on Google search. When you use grounding with Google search, it links the Google model to the internet. Since non-grounded Gen AI model responses are considered new content based on learned patterns, you won't get factual responses which are time specific. That's where like grounding with Google search supports dynamic retrieval that gives you the option to generate grounded results with Google search only when necessary. Therefore, the dynamic retrieval configuration evaluates whether a prompt requires knowledge about recent events and enables grounding with Google search.
And for the enterprises who need custom embeddings based information retrieval, Vertex AI offers powerful vector search capabilities that operate at Google grade. Vector search can scale to billions of vectors and find the nearest neighbors in a few milliseconds. And I'm also, when it comes to new features, and I'm excited to share that vector search now offers hybrid search. Uh, Basically, it's an integration of vector-based and keyword-based search techniques to ensure the most relevant and accurate responses for your queries. And we are ready for your production workloads. When it comes to generative AI, we understand your priorities: data governance and privacy, security and compliance, reliability and responsible AI. These principles are central to our approach and commitment to enterprise readiness. With Vertex AI Agent Builder and across the Vertex AI platform for that matter, your data is your data, and we do not use your input prompts, model output, or training data to train our own models. And we offer rigorous compliance standards. For example, Vertex AI Search now supports HIPAA, ISO 27000 series, and SOC 123, uh, VPC service controls, and customer managed encryption keys for enhanced security. Additionally, we prioritize responsible AI in our product development, so you can deploy with confidence knowing that our offerings are enterprise ready. Thank you so much for taking your time for joining us for today's session. And if you have any questions, feel free to post it in our chat. We are happy to answer that.
Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are today. My name is Sean Patterson, and it's my privilege to be your host for today's database roadmap discussion. All right, first, a bit about me. I've been with Google for 6 years now, all of that time as a cloud customer engineer. In that time, I've worked with a bunch of companies, from bootstrapping startups to large enterprises. But today, I'm happy to work exclusively with startups as a database specialist cloud customer engineer. My personal mission is to help make the next billion-dollar idea into a billion-dollar reality on Google Cloud. Okay, we're going to talk about new innovative features across our database portfolio. There are all kinds of new capabilities coming out across all of our database platforms. And you'll notice a central theme for this last year and for the coming year, and probably going forward from there. And that is artificial intelligence and how we can use it with databases to drive innovation and efficiency. By now, we all understand that generative AI is both an amazing advancement and one that comes with some challenges. Used correctly, it can add huge value to any organization's technology stack, making it so much easier for users to get the information they need. But we need to mitigate hallucinations, and there are some effective ways to do that. Grounding Gen AI in databases is one of the easiest and most effective ways for startups to build Gen AI applications today that are accurate and relevant. So because integrating AI with databases is so powerful, we've built AI capabilities and integrations into every single one of our database products, starting with vector support, right? So you can embed semantic meaning in text that's stored in your databases. This is a game changer. It allows databases to understand what the end user meant in their query, even if they use the wrong keywords. Our databases are also integrated with Vertex AI, our own Gen AI platform, providing streamlined integration with Gemini and with third-party models. And we recently announced LangChain integration for all of our databases. With all these integrations, the data in your databases becomes low-hanging fruit for real-world generative AI use. Whether or not you're building generative AI products, everyone could use some help to accelerate your database development and operations. So we've launched Gemini in Databases, an AI assistant that can help developers and DBAs to get things done more quickly and well. Let's look at some of the features. First, migration assistance. More and more companies are switching to Postgres for its feature richness, performance, and scalability. Converting legacy SQL code to another dialect is time-consuming, so we've integrated Gemini and Databases into Database Migration Service. This will analyze legacy code, and it will suggest and explain updated SQL code. This greatly accelerates heterogeneous migrations. But even after the migration, there's plenty of SQL work to be done. Gemini in Databases is also integrated with Database Studio, our console-based database IDE for both Cloud SQL and AlloyDB. This gives you context-aware assistance writing SQL code, and it can explain existing SQL code. We're fast approaching a world where you don't have to be a SQL expert to write powerful queries. The next aspect of Gemini and Databases is Database Center. Many of our customers deploy many database instances, and it can be a challenge to make sure that the availability, security, and compliance of those instances are maintained across the entire fleet. Database Center provides a single pane of glass to make that job easier, and you can do it with Gemini-powered natural language. Last up for Gemini and Databases is Enhanced Insights. We've had query insights and system insights in Cloud SQL and AlloyDB for a while now, making it easier for customers to understand and improve database health and performance. Now, with Enhanced Insights, we've added an AI component. So now it's even easier to optimize your database and your costs. Okay, so that's Gemini and Databases. In the coming quarters, we'll add even more features to make database management easier. Let's talk about our relational database offerings. So here we are, more than a decade into the cloud era, and we have new database models that are in use, right? So we have document databases, graph databases, key value. These are commonplace tools now. But still, relational databases are often the right tool for cloud-native applications. So we continue to innovate in our relational database portfolio. Let's start with Cloud SQL, our very first managed operational database platform. Cloud SQL is tried and true since 2011, fully compatible with Postgres, MySQL, and Microsoft SQL Server. Almost all of our customers use it to offload management toil so they can focus on their business. Let's look at some of the recent feature launches as well as what's coming next. So far this year, we've launched sub-second downtime for maintenance events with Cloud SQL Enterprise Plus Edition on MySQL and Postgres. We've launched Private Service Connect, so your applications can connect to your Cloud SQL instances via a private IP address in your VPC. We've also launched IAM authentication, including IAM group authentication, making role-based access control so much easier for database security. Advanced DR enables DR orchestration and failback for both testing purposes and for actual DR events should they happen. We're looking at general availability later this year or early next year. Coming up, we're launching the ability to create a final backup of a Cloud SQL instance before deleting it, and of course the ability to restore it later. And we're launching some new instance shapes, giving customers more options to match price performance to their different workloads. Here are some developer-focused new features. First, Firebase Connect. Many customers use Firebase for mobile and web applications. It natively uses Firestore, our serverless document database system that I'll talk about later. But sometimes you have a use case that would benefit more from a relational database. Firebase Connect lets you map and query data in Cloud SQL from within Firebase. This is in preview today. Now on the AI front, we recently launched some new features that I'd like to go a bit deeper into. Across Cloud SQL, we've launched vector search, enabling semantic similarity search and retrieval augmented generation. We've also launched an optional local SSD data cache to accelerate really all read operations, but it's particularly useful for speeding up semantic search. And as I mentioned before, all of our operational databases integrate with Vertex AI, so you can build powerful AI applications in familiar SQL. LangChain integration and AI-enabled observability round out the current AI landscape, and we'll have more AI features in 2025. Okay, next up is AlloyDB, our flagship Postgres offering, and my personal favorite Google Cloud database platform. AlloyDB is a fully Postgres compliant database management platform with some key Google innovations that make it more stable, capable, and performant. AlloyDB is an optimization of standard Postgres, giving us sub-second maintenance downtime and fast unplanned failovers, as well as intelligent autopilot features to keep it stable and performant. It offers up to 4 nines of SLA, inclusive of maintenance events, and we've decoupled the storage from the compute, making the storage and log processing horizontally scalable and highly durable. All these innovations add up to a Postgres system that's 4 times as fast as standard Postgres for transactions, 10 times faster for vector search, 100 times faster, or even faster than that in some cases, for real-time analytics, all at a price point that delivers double the price performance of self-managed Postgres. Let's talk about the new features. Okay, among our relational database offerings, AlloyDB is the most advanced in terms of AI capabilities. We have automatic embedding generation, right? Generate those vector embeddings automatically by AlloyDB. We have faster vector similarity search. We have several options for approximate nearest neighbor vector indexes, including our own optimized scan index with Omni, as well as LangChain integration. AlloyDB natively integrates with our text embedding models, and with the new model endpoint management feature, you can integrate with any Google AI model or with third-party AI models that are in the model garden. Okay, I mentioned a minute ago, I mentioned scan. So vector search is faster with vector indexes. Up until now, we've been limited to the common ones out there like HNSW and IFV, and there's nothing wrong with them. Google has depended on vector search in our own applications for years now, so we developed the scan index, a highly optimized approximate nearest neighbor vector index, offering up to 4 times faster vector queries, 8 times faster index creation, 10 times higher write throughput, and it does this with less memory. It's highly optimized. It's in preview today in AlloyDB Omni, and I recommend you give it a try. AlloyDB Studio. This was recently promoted to general availability. Like with Cloud SQL, this is our integrated database IDE, so you can easily connect your databases to develop and optimize your SQL queries, and you can fix, write, and optimize your SQL code with Gemini and database assistance. Okay, I mentioned Omni. AlloyDB comes in 2 forms: the regular version that runs in Google Cloud, and also AlloyDB Omni that you can run anywhere. You can run it on-prem, you can run it even in a competitor's cloud, you can run it in Google Cloud VMs. So it lets you run AlloyDB anywhere you want. So I mentioned that because some of these features and these launches will differ in terms of AlloyDB versus AlloyDB Omni. So let's jump in. Like with Cloud SQL, AlloyDB has launched Private Service Connect, private IP connectivity to databases. We've also launched maintenance windows. Now, we have sub-second maintenance downtime, but for some applications, even that is disruptive. So maintenance windows let you control exactly when maintenance happens. We've launched password complexity to prevent weak database passwords. Those features are all generally available today. And we've recently launched in preview natural language querying, BigQuery Federation, and Postgres version 16. Coming up, we're going to launch reverse BigQuery Federation, larger AlloyDB instance sizes, and in-place major version upgrades. Okay, AlloyDB. It's the one Postgres to rule them all, and it's my recommended solution for most customers' Postgres requirements. If you're not using it yet, there's a 30-day free trial, so give it a spin. Okay, let's shift gears to the database Google uses for our own billion-user application requirements, Cloud Spanner. Spanner continues to evolve as the Swiss Army knife of databases. It's a relational database and has been forever. It's also now a vector database and a key value database and a document database and a graph database. Spanner is a fully managed product with global scale, ACID transactions, and full SQL support, including a Postgres interface. It offers strong consistency and low latency across regions and continents, and it's highly available, up to 5 nines of SLA with absolutely zero maintenance downtime. To give you a sense of the magnitude of its scale, Spanner processes over 1 billion requests per second at peak with very low latency. Bunch of new features, so let's jump into that. Okay, as I mentioned, Spanner's been a relational database for years, but we recently launched non-relational modes like JSON and Graph. We've launched protocol buffers for more efficient storage and handling of structured data. And now in preview, we have 3 powerful new enhancements to Spanner's query capabilities with k-nearest neighbor and approximate nearest neighbor vector indexes to enable fast vector searches across massive data sets, along with the full text search feature for exact string matches where that's more appropriate. Native integration with other Google Cloud data products is another one of our recurring themes, and here are a few of those features. So we have BigQuery Spanner Federation. This enables BigQuery to query data residing in Spanner in real time without copying or moving data. And soon we'll be releasing reverse ETL, which lets you land your BigQuery data in Spanner. So now you can serve that data using Spanner's low latency, high concurrency architecture. Now, ETL can add some load to a database system. So we have launched Spanner Data Boost, a serverless feature that provides independent compute resources for integrations with Google Cloud analytics services like BigQuery, allowing you to execute analytical queries and data exports with near zero impact to your Spanner instance's performance. Many of our customers are subject to regulatory compliance and data residency requirements. So here are a few new features to help with that. First is geo-partitioning. This is really cool, and it's available in preview today. Geo-partitioning gives you virtual tables where the data is distributed across the regions that you choose. So your applications can query them as usual, while you make sure that the actual data is stored where it needs to be to meet your regulatory compliance and data residency requirements. We're also launching a dual region option. Now, Spanner has supported multiple regions for years and years, but with dual region, you can specify exactly 2 regions that reside within a single jurisdiction. So this gives you another option for data residency. Now, in the past, Spanner was frankly expensive. It's a global powerhouse, and that came at a cost. So we've introduced features to make Spanner more affordable for any startup. The managed autoscaler allows you to scale your Spanner estate up and down to match your spend to your demand. We've also launched processing units. So in the past, a minimum unit of Spanner deployment was a node. Processing units are a fraction of a node, giving you all the features of Spanner at a much lower cost. And coming soon, we'll launch tiered storage, adding a cheaper storage option for workloads that don't require SSD. As you can see, we're investing a lot in Spanner to make it more powerful and feature-rich with improved pricing options so that any company can afford it. Okay. So those are the new features for our relational database offerings. Now let's shift gears and see what's new with our non-relational databases. Starting with Bigtable, our petabyte scale, ultra low latency key value and wide column store. So Bigtable, again, is fully managed. It's a wide column database service for large real-time analytics and operational workloads, offering up to 5 nines of SLA. It's ideal for require ultra low latency on millions of requests and writes per second. One of our aims in Bigtable is to offer customers easy mechanisms to ingest or stream data out of Bigtable with integrations with other services. For instance, we recently GA'd the Spark connector. Soon, we're going GA with batch reverse ETL with BigQuery. And just like with Spanner, we're launching support for streaming reverse ETL from BigQuery. so you can use Bigtable to serve data from your data warehouse. Launching in preview soon, we also have distributed counters and data boost, which I'll talk about in the next slides. So distributed counters. Imagine you're running a latency-sensitive application like a popular game that needs to maintain a real-time leaderboard, statistics, for instance. The data for that leaderboard could span billions of records, and that's a lot to perform aggregate functions against in real time. Distributed counters is a new Bigtable field type that can maintain ongoing real-time aggregates across a horizontally scaled Bigtable cluster. This is much faster than calculating stats on demand or updating them in batches. Distributed counters is in preview today, ready for you to try out. Now, we already discussed Data Boost for Spanner, and it's the same idea with Bigtable. It spins up additional compute resources to offload analytical integrations with other services like BigQuery. So now you can run heavy analytics against your data in Bigtable without impacting Bigtable's performance. I'll wrap up the Bigtable roadmap with a few developer-focused features. The Visual Query Builder, the Python client, and authorized views were all recently GA'd, so you can use them today. And in August, we added SQL support to Bigtable in preview, giving developers another familiar way to query Bigtable data. We're working hard to make Bigtable as powerful and developer-friendly as possible. All right, Firestore. Firestore is a fully managed serverless document database in Google Cloud. It scales seamlessly with up to 5 nines of availability and has 0 RPO and 0 RTO. Firestore has rich support for languages and SDKs and unique capabilities like real-time synchronization and offline caching on mobile devices. It's extremely popular with the mobile and web developer community, with more than 500,000 monthly active developers. So what's new for developers in Firestore? The recurring theme of AI integration continues here. So we have vector search, LangChain and Llama index integration, and query, explain, and analyze in GA, along with aggregate functions like count, sum, and average. In preview, we have disjunctions, and we have multiple ranges and inequalities, so more ways to query the data in Firestore. In terms of upcoming features, a lot of our Firestore customers have asked for full text search capability, as well as bulk delete, and both of those will preview soon. Here are some more. Our Firestore product team has been busy. So at Google Next last April, we announced CMEX support, customer managed encryption keys in preview. And prior to that, we announced scheduled backup and restores. In addition, capabilities like point-in-time recovery and integrations with BigQuery are already generally available. As a key pillar of our database portfolio, you can expect to see the pace of innovation continue in Firestore. Okay, we're going to wrap up our database roadmap with Memory Store. So Memory Store is our fully managed in-memory data service for Memcached, Redis, or now Valkey. It's extremely fast, highly available, with on-demand scalability, and it's fully integrated into the GCP ecosystem. The first new feature of Memory Store is dynamic configuration. This allows developers to customize Redis user configuration like max memory, max clients, etc., via gcloud commands, both during and after creation of their clusters, without contacting support or engineering to get that done. We also recently released Redis 7.2, as well as support for higher client connection limits. And this is exciting, we just launched Valkey support in preview. With the recent changes to Redis licensing, some of our customers are looking at Valkey to maintain their open source posture, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so as you may have heard, Redis changed their licensing terms earlier this year. It's more restrictive now, and some customers who value open source are looking for an alternative. So some former Redis engineers forked open source Redis as Valkey, and it's gaining in popularity. As you can see in this timeline, the Valkey initiative is evolving very rapidly. And last month, we launched Valkey and Memory Store in preview. I expect GA sometime in 2025. We don't have an exact date yet. Here are a few more new technical features of Memory Store. So we've launched some new Memory Store node shapes, and I'll talk more about that in the next slide. We also GA'd RDB snapshots for easy backup. And we now have single zone clusters, giving latency sensitive applications all the advanced capabilities of Redis cluster without having to cross zonal boundaries. Finally, in preview, Redis cluster data persistence lets you protect your data and achieve near zero RPO. Now, back to what I mentioned a minute ago, new cluster sizes. New cluster and node sizes, rather. I mentioned the new node shapes a minute ago, and here they are. More node shapes means easier cost optimization. So whatever your application's needs are, there's a shape with just the right resources for you. Okay, so that's it for our database products themselves. The last service I want to talk about is a supporting service, and that's Database Migration Service, or DMS. DMS makes it easy to perform homogeneous database migrations, as well as heterogeneous migrations from legacy databases like Oracle to Google Cloud managed databases like AlloyDB or Spanner. You can use it to migrate from on-premise, from other cloud providers, or even between different Google Cloud database platforms. DMS is serverless, it's secure, and it's free. New stuff, fully launched today, you can get AI-driven SQL code conversion assistance for Oracle to AlloyDB migrations. In preview, we've launched code assistance and explainability for all supported databases, making it easier for your staff to write optimal SQL code. And also in preview, we've added automated database migration assessments. Now, this is important in any database migration. It'll analyze your legacy databases and give you guidance on what you'll need to do to execute a migration to a Google Cloud managed database. And coming soon, Gemini and databases will help you convert your application code as well. We're working hard to make it as easy as possible for you to get up and running quickly and smoothly on Google Cloud databases. Okay, that's it for now. We've covered some powerful new features, and we'll keep our product teams busy with even more in 2025. Stay tuned for those future announcements, and thanks for your time today.
Hi, my name is Srinath Paneni. I'm a customer engineer and I lead networking and security discussions for Google Cloud startup customers. In this session, I'll focus on networking and network security features that went GA recently, as well as a few that are in public preview. As you can imagine, this will only be a subset of features. And as always, please work with your account team to have a private discussion if I don't cover a specific feature that you're looking for. That said, let's start with networking, specifically Network Connectivity Center. If you haven't heard, Network Connectivity Center is an orchestration framework that simplifies network connectivity among spoke resources that are connected to a central management resource called a hub. Network Connectivity Center supports different types of spokes: VPC spokes, producer VPC spokes. This is a feature that's in preview, and I'll mention more about it in the future slides. And also hybrid spokes. Hybrid spokes consists of HAVPN tunnels, cloud interconnect, VLAN attachments, or other router appliances that are running as VMs in your VPC. Before NCC, full mesh connectivity using VPC peering would look something like this, where all VPCs are peered with each other. Using NCC, we can simplify this architecture to something like this. From a control plane perspective, VPC spokes are connected to the NCC hub, which creates a full mesh data plane between VPC spokes. An architecture view using NCC would look something like this. Benefits, of course, are simplified VPC connectivity and scaling to 10x for up to 250 VPCs per NCC hub. Also supports cross-organization and cross-project VPC spokes. Export filter support to better control subnet reachability and exchange. Recently, we also added support for include export ranges. This filtering determines whether a particular subnet range can be advertised from the VPC spoke. You also get fully distributed inter-VPC VM to VM forwarding, which means there is no centralized throughput restrictions. There is no centralized single data plane point of failure when using NCC. And of course, there is no additional latency either. Now let's talk about private NAT with NCC. Private NAT lets you create a NAT gateway that works in conjunction with the network connectivity center spokes to perform network address translation between VPC networks. Imagine a scenario where you have VPCs with overlapping IP subnets, and you would like communication to happen between non-overlapping subnets across the VPCs. In this scenario, the VPC networks that you want to connect will be attached as a to network connectivity center hub as VPC spokes. And then you create a private NAT gateway in the VPC that initiates the communication, in this case, VPC1. Well, after this point, the non-overlapping subnets between VPC1 and VPC2 can communicate, right? The same feature can be extended to hybrid communication. So with the feature called hybrid NAT. Hybrid NAT is a type of private NAT that lets you perform network address translations between VPC network and on-premises network or other cloud provider network. The non-Google Cloud network must be connected to your VPC network using Google Cloud Network connectivity products such as VPN or Cloud Interconnect. Because private NAT is a managed service, you get ease of management with single logical gateway, auto-scaling as you would expect, support for primary and secondary IP ranges in your VPC, flexible NAT rules, and dynamic port allocation that you may be familiar with using Cloud NAT for public egress traffic. We talked about how NCC supports a full mesh topology. Earlier this year, we also went GA with support for star topology. Star topology is a common use case among customers that manage isolated VPC spokes that needs connectivity to resources running in a central hub VPC. As of today, star topology is only supported with VPC spokes. To configure NCC using star topology, you must separate all VPC spokes into two different groups, also referred to as routing domains. A center group of spokes, which communicate with every other spoke connected to the hub, an edge group of spokes, which communicate only with the spokes belong to the center group. In other words, within the center group, the VPC spokes form a full mesh connectivity with each other, while VPCs in the edge group are isolated from each other in such a way that they can communicate to the spokes in the center group, but not with each other. Now let's talk about dynamic routing exchange. So route exchange with VPC spokes lets you connect VPC spokes and hybrid spokes such as Cloud Interconnect VLAN attachments, HAVPN tunnels, and router appliance VMs on the same hub, which enables highly scalable any-to-any network connectivity between all such spokes attached to a single hub. Let me establish a bit of terminology so it's easy to follow along. A workload VPC network is a VPC network with workloads that a spoke administrator adds to a hub as a VPC spoke. A workload VPC network can be a standalone VPC network, or it can be a shared VPC network. A workload VPC network can be located in either the same project as the NCC hub or a different project in the same or another organization. Routing VPC networks. A routing VPC network is any designated VPC network that contains your hybrid connections, such as your Cloud Interconnect VLAN attachments or your HAVPN tunnels or router appliance VMs. These are the connections that you intend to add to the NCC hub as hybrid spokes. The routing VPC network itself can now be added to the hub as a VPC spoke in this case. Subnets of the routing VPC aren't exported to the hub. The hybrid attachments can, however, access these subnets because they are local to the VPC network, just like any other VPC would, right? So if you have VLAN connections or VPN tunnels directly to the VPC, you can access those networks. And that doesn't change here either. Each routing VPC network and the Cloud Interconnect VLAN attachments, HAVPN tunnels, or router appliance VMs that use the routing VPC network must be located in the same project as the NCC hub. So what do customers get with this feature? Spokes and VPC spokes are supported on a single NCC hub with a dynamic routing exchange between all spoke types. All attached VPC spokes of the NCC hub can have dynamic reachability to on-prem networks via Cloud Router BGP from attached hybrid spokes. Hybrid spokes can reside across any cloud region across multiple routing VPCs. Up to 500 dynamic routes are supported globally per hub. As you know, lets consumers access managed services privately from inside their VPC network. Similarly, PSC lets managed service producers host these services in their separate VPC networks and projects while offering private connection to their consumers. Private Service Connect connections are not transitive from peer VPCs. The propagation of PSC services through NCC Hub enables these services to be reachable by any other spoke in the same VPC hub, in the same NCC hub, sorry. PSC propagation via NCC is illustrated in this image. You have VPC1 with a PSC endpoint, and VPC1 is also part of NCC Hub, which has VPC2 and other hybrid spokes. Because we created the NCC Hub with PSC propagation, PSC endpoints in VPC1 are accessible from VPC2 and other hybrid spokes. Let's talk about producer VPC spokes. This is for those service providers that lets you access managed services by using VPC network peering connection between their VPC network and your VPC network, such as services offered through private service access. In these cases, the producer VPC network is in a producer-owned project that you are unable to access directly. The most common Google managed service that comes to mind for you probably is Cloud SQL, right? In this case, if you have a VPC network that consumes a service from the producer network in another project through VPC network peering, you can use a Network Connectivity Center producer spoke to make the service reachable by other networks. When you create a producer's VPC spoke, you provide the following information to the NCC: the existing VPC spoke of your consumer network that is peered with the producer network, the name of the peering connection. Then NCC uses that information to identify the VPC network of the service producer and add a corresponding producer VPC spoke in your project. So what does it provide? Provides connectivity from all VPC spokes to the producer VPC subnets. Supports producer VPC transitive access from hybrid spokes. Enables customers to specify which producer subnets are exported to VPC spokes. Again, we talked about the features of using filters, right, when you're adding a spoke. So using that filters, you can specify which producer subnets are exported to the VPC spokes. Now let's talk about network security. Let's start with Cloud Armor. We have recently greatly increased the flexibility of Cloud Armor deployments to protect an expanded set of customer infrastructure on GCP, as well as in hybrid use cases located on-prem or in other cloud providers. Cloud Armor now supports protecting Cloud CDN origin servers by enforcing Cloud Armor security policies on dynamic requests, as well as cache misses destined for the CDN origin server. Customer applications are often complex, serving both cacheable static content as well as dynamic requests from the same backend services. With the Cloud Armor able to inspect and filter requests destined to the CDN origin servers, users can now mitigate computationally expensive cache busting attacks, as well as protect dynamic portions of websites and applications from the OWASP top 10 threats. Enterprises often need to enforce a consistent set of security controls to their applications, no matter where they are deployed, whether they're migrating to GCP or running in permanent hybrid configuration. The support for Internet Network Endpoint Groups that allows customers to leverage all of Google Edge infrastructure, including our global load balancers, Cloud CDN, and Cloud Armor to protect their websites or applications, no matter where they are hosted. Now, Google can help protect customers' applications, whether from DDoS attacks or other common web attacks, without customer having to deploy their application on GCP. Finally, for those customers running their workload for Cloud Armor, GKE users can help protect their containerized workloads by placing them behind Google's global load balancers and configuring Cloud Armor security policies for Layer 7 filtering and WAF use cases. Okay, the Cloud Armor support for all types of load balancers. The one I want to specifically call out is the support for the internal application load balancer. Cloud Armor regional security policies are now capable of safeguarding internal application load balancers, offering protection against a wide range of threats, including common OWASP threats, protecting against social engineering attacks, and comply with security requirements. Resource exhaustion, leveraging rate-limiting actions to prevent denial of service attacks against your internal applications. For internal regional layer 7 load balancer, launch unlocks several exciting use cases for customers. For example, protecting PSC endpoints. Using internal ALBs as proxies, now customers can secure their PSC endpoints that are deployed by the consumer into the consumer VPCs. Filtering on-premises traffic, utilizing Cloud Interconnect and internal ALBs to filter traffic from your on-prem infrastructure before it reaches your VPC backends. Let me also touch a little bit on the Cloud Armor Enterprise. Early this year, we announced the general availability of Cloud Armor Enterprise. Along with the renaming of Managed Protection Plus, it also reflects evolution of Cloud Armor and associated services and capabilities to work with the most complex and mission-critical workloads. Recently launched DDoS attack visibility to generate telemetry about DDoS attacks we automatically detect and protect. Advanced network DDoS protection and custom policies for non-web workloads. Pay-as-you-go version for our enterprise-friendly pricing model to be more predictable and easy to consume. Let me touch really quick on advanced network DDoS protection. Once enabled in the region, advanced network DDoS protection begins to automatically monitor and protect all relevant public IPs in the region, including those from the network load balancer, the VMs with the public IP, or protocol forwarding. Customers often deploy workloads behind network load balancer or public IPs for a variety of reasons, such as if the workload is going to be UDP-based traffic, like a game server, or other latency-sensitive service, or if there are explicit requirements to use custom TCP ports or handle SSL offload. Customers can benefit from detection and mitigation far upstream of their infrastructure at the edge of the Google service. Just-in-time mitigation is deployed for any IP under attack for each region where advanced network DDoS is enabled. We support protection-based VMs as well as GKE clusters. Cloud Armor capability support across external, global, and regional load balancers and regional internal layer 7 load balancer. Highlighted are some of the features that went generally available in the last few months. In the previous slide, I mentioned availability of Cloud Armor security policy with the internal layer 7 load balancers. Now, let me talk about the address group support, another feature that went GA very recently. An address group contains multiple IP addresses or IP address ranges inside a format. Each address group can be used by multiple services, such as rules in the Cloud NGFW firewall policies or rules in the Cloud Armor security policies. Updates to an address group are automatically propagated to the resources that reference the address group. For example, you can create an address group containing a set of trusted or malicious IP addresses. To change the set of IP addresses, you update the address group. Your updates to the address group are reflected in each associated resource automatically. So for example, if you're using the address group to evaluate a rule within the security policy in Cloud Armor, when you update the IP addresses in the address group, those changes are automatically reflected, and you don't have to make anything or organization scope, but not both. Cloud Armor, as of today, does not support organization scoped address groups. Address groups simplify the configuration and maintenance of security policies because you can share each list of IP address groups across many security policies. Keep in mind, to use address groups, your project must be enrolled in Cloud Armor Enterprise. Sticking with the network security, let's talk about Secure Web Proxy. Secure Web Proxy is a cloud-first service that helps customers secure egress web traffic, HTTP or HTTPS. Customers configure clients to explicitly use Secure Web Proxy as a gateway. The web request can originate from source VMs, containers, serverless environments that use VPC serverless connector, workloads outside of Google Cloud connected by Cloud VPN or Cloud Interconnect. Customers configure workload environments and clients to explicitly use the proxy server. Secure Web Proxy isolates clients from the internet by creating new TCP connections on behalf of the clients while adhering to the administered security policies. Security policies are based on two parameters. Traffic source. In this case, you can identify the traffic source using attributes such as service accounts, tags, and IP addresses. From a destination perspective, You can determine the allowed destination by using domain name, a full URL path if TLS inspection, all or URL less, or the destination port. Now, for those customers that deploy secure web proxy in one VPC and they have multiple VPCs where they want egress out of the same secure web proxy, you could use queuing. That works. But if you have a overlapping IP spaces, if you'd rather like to use a local IP address from that VPC, you could use PSC. So secure web proxy now supports PSC service attachments, and you could deploy PSC endpoints in each of those VPC networks separately, while the web proxy itself, the gateway itself, runs in a centralized VPC. We also launched in GA the ability to deploy secure web proxy as a next hop. By default, the routing mode of secure web proxy is an explicit routing mode, meaning every client VM has to send traffic explicitly to the secure web proxy gateway. You now have an option to set it in the routing mode as next hop routing mode, which lets you define that, which lets you direct traffic sent to the secure web proxy instance through your route tables. After you create the secure web proxy, you can configure either a static routing or policy-based routing. In the case of a static routing, you're defining which tags should be routed to the secure web proxy static route. So, and you would also tag the source VMs with exactly the same tag. And same thing with the policy-based routes. In the case of policy-based routes, you can define a source IP address range for which the traffic would be directed to the secure web proxy instance. And for the last topic, I want to touch on two new features in the VPCSC. The first one is private address support, and the second one is groups as an identity attribute in addition to users and service accounts. Let's take a look into the private address support. The use case here is simple. Customers want to define more granular perimeters. Take, for example, instead of adding an entire shared VPC in your perimeter, specifying just that one subnet where the workload is running. Or in the case of hub and spoke model, instead of adding the hub or the transit VPC in your perimeter, the ability to specify which subnets from on-prem can be part of the perimeter. In terms of implementation, you create context-aware access levels with the private IP subnets listed, and then you refer to these access levels in your ingress or egress rules in the VPCSC perimeter. The IAM group support. VPC service controls use ingress and egress rules to allow access to and from resources and clients protected by the service perimeters. To further refine access, you can specify identity groups in your ingress and egress rules. An identity group is a convenient way to apply access controls to a collection of users and lets you manage identities that have similar access policies. So that concludes my presentation for today, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much for all our attendees here today. The only ask is that we're going to send out a comment form to get some feedback on how the session was for everyone. So we would love it if you could give us some feedback, because it'll help us plan for other events like this and to improve things moving forward. Thanks again to all our presenters. We really appreciate all the hard work you put into putting these presentations together. And we just hope everyone has a good rest of your day. Thanks again. Bye-bye.